If you're a sensitive person, you know that there are a ton of misconceptions about you. Whether you identify as a highly sensitive person, an empath, a neurodivergent, it seems like, first of all, anytime you mention you're any of those things, people roll their eyes and they're like, oh, here we go. And anything you say about yourself, they may misconstrue. They may not believe you. Just because, for whatever reason, bringing up sensitivity is not something that I think a lot of people want to understand or learn more about. So in this video, I want to talk about basically a lot of the main misconceptions about being any sort of sensitive person and why I don't think they're true. Okay, let's get into it. So the first one is, I think a lot of people have told us throughout our lives to stop being so sensitive. And the thing is there is a misconception that we have some sort of willpower problem, that we are choosing to be sensitive and to be overdramatic. There is basically a couple of things happening at once here. First of all, I will just say for a lot of us who have identified in our bodies that we feel sensitive, it is really oftenly something that's natural. Plus, there's probably things that happened in our upbringing, possible traumas, the way we were nurtured. But I think it's a mix of our nature and our nurture. I think that a lot of us are naturally sensitive because, for example, for me, I was diagnosed on the autism spectrum and ADHD. And so I guess you could call it odd DHD. And for me, growing up, I had all the fucking willpower in the world to try to pretend that I was not sensitive at all. And that came from my upbringing. Like, I was actually raised to ignore that I was sensitive. And I think most of us in general, like, were taught not to be sensitive at all. And so growing up for me, I was feeling a lot of sensory overload just ever since I was a kid. So since I was a child, I remember soaking up people's energies around me. I would have this joke where I would be like, it's like I have empathy ADHD. It's like when I was sitting in class, when I was trying to sit with other people in silence and I was trying to focus on the teacher, I couldn't focus because there was somebody fidgeting in the background. Somebody's energy was loud to me. And I tried my hardest when I was younger to ignore it. And I remember being so hard on myself because I was like, there's something wrong with me. There's a willpower issue. I mean, as a kid, I don't think I said it that way, but I think when I was younger, I was like, there's something wrong with me. I can't control myself. And whatever I'm doing, especially when I'm quiet and at rest, it's as if I am just soaking up the energy around me and I couldn't turn it off. And I think since I was younger until about, honestly, my mid-20s, I kept trying to make myself do everything to try to turn it off. I even had stages in my life where I numbed, which I wonder if resonates with a lot of people. Like, there may be different ways that we numbed our sensitivities. For me, I kind of turned into, like, I would daydream a lot. I would dissociate, which I talk about a lot on this channel. Like, I had dissociated so that I wouldn't feel so much. For a lot of other people, they may have, like, maybe used substances. Like, maybe they drank a lot. Maybe they smoked weed. Maybe they did other drugs. These things, I feel like, help us manage the fact that we are feeling a lot. And I think that when we're younger, obviously, and in general in the world still right now, we're taught you can't, you can't have that amount of feeling. And also, it is true, it becomes distracting. For me, it was, I literally couldn't focus in class because I was picking up on everybody else around me. And it's very individual too. Now, I think a lot of people who are kind of newly discovering they have ADHD or autism, they also might report different experiences because it's their own kind of personality plus their traumas, right? So for me, even though I had this empathy ADHD, Like, I was also someone who was hyper aware of bright lights, of loud noises, but they didn't actually bother me. It was someone else's, I'm going to say someone else's emotions and their energy. Those were the things that stood out to me the most. So I could tell that that's in part my personality and in part some of my traumas, right? So growing up, I was hyper vigilant to the people around me. I needed to be hyper vigilant to the people around me. And because my personality ran more sensitive and introverted and empathic, I emphasized, like, well, I need to survive by picking up on how everyone's feeling because I have that skill. So if I can tune into that whenever I feel very like sensory overloaded, then I can survive. And so that carried over to other parts of my life, like being in class, like being in groups of people. I just had this habit to be hyper vigilant to emotions, but not necessarily to every stimulant around me. Okay, so I would just wanted to add, because I know it sounds like, well, are you actually neurodivergent or is that just trauma? For me, I think I was still very hyper aware of lights and loud noises and other stimulants, but the thing that I cared about the most was other people's energy. So that's why I'm saying I think it's in part overstimulation because of neurodivergence. Another part, what trauma taught me to care about. Does that make sense? I'm just mentioning all this because there's a lot of reasons why we're sensitive. And I think a lot of us can probably try to argue we have tried not to. We have been told, we've been shamed, we have felt abandoned and unloved and disliked because we showed a level of sensitivity. Like, I'm sure a lot of us have wanted to get rid of it. And I will say it's largely not so much a willpower issue. It's your nature plus the other things in life that have taught us to use our sensitivity in imbalanced ways. So here's the thing. We don't have to willpower ourselves out of being sensitive or to change our sensitivity. I still think for a lot of us, we believe that that's actually partly our nature. Instead, what we can do is we do have the power to direct it in the way that is the healthiest and most balanced for us. First of all, regardless of other people, when you're sensitive, you can direct that sensitivity to being in tune with yourself. Actually, I have been learning this lately. I believe that I have been really hyper empathic to other people, and then I had a hard time connecting with my own body. I believe that there is literally a phrase for that when it comes to autistic people. Like, literally, there is okay, if I find it, I'll put the word up here. But whatever this condition is, this comorbidity is, it's common in autistic people where they have a hard time identifying their emotions. And I think that there is this misconception for a while that autistic people have poor like social interaction and poor empathy. And what I've actually understood now for myself is that it is actually more so a hyper empathy to the point of being so unfocused and distracted by people that you're not tuning in with yourself. And so I wonder if that also resonates for ADHD people or anyone who's sensitive, whether you have gotten a neurodivergent, whatever you want to identify yourself as. Either which way, I'm using sensitive as the umbrella term here, right? But for me, like, I noticed I felt other things outside of me so strongly that I had a lot of trouble tuning into myself. And if you're sensitive, you probably relate to that. And I think a lot of the reason why we're like that is because we're obviously taught to scan the room in order to survive. Like, we're kind of directing our high sensitivity to other people. We can redirect that sensitivity to ourselves. It's really important to learn how to tune into yourself and your own body. So I also have a really common comorbidity to neurodivergence, which is hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, or HEDS. And it's basically when your joints are really lax and You know, you tend to have more posture, more sort of imbalances. And I struggled with this for years, especially after I did a lot of distance running. So when I was in high school up until like maybe my mid 20s, I was a long distance runner. And I don't think I would have noticed the hypermobility as much, or at least as severely as I did, unless I did like heavy amounts of cardio. And like, I'm saying this because there was a time after I stopped running, like, there was a time where I had to stop running because I was getting a lot of injuries and I kept trying to rehab it. Like, I kept trying to work out. I went to physical therapy multiple times, and there was something where I could not actually engage my muscles and I wasn't aligned right. And like, it was so frustrating because I spent so much time kind of going hard at it. I kind of like, I always showed up and I was like, I'm going to work out. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And this happened for years until I finally got the diagnosis of being hypermobile. And they were like, you kind of just, you need to like work out differently. And since I discovered that, I started to work out better. And I started to be more in tune with my body. And I realized I haven't been this in tune with my body and my muscles and the way my body moves since maybe I was like 12. like I realized like I not only disconnected like from my emotions because I was overemphasizing the things around me, but I also disconnected from the groundedness of my physical body. And I spent so many years not knowing how to basically reconnect with myself. And it's I know that might be kind of like a long story, but like I think it's so important to realize that like cuz for me, I really hate getting the feedback of you didn't try hard enough or like you didn't willpower enough. Like I physically did a lot of things. Like I also showed up and I tried to desensitize myself emotionally. Like I tried so many different ways of conditioning myself. It's kind of like I hate to use this analogy, but it's kind of like you know, if you're trying to to get the gay out of the gay people, like you can't because that's their nature. Like there is a lot of it for me where my nature is like my body is made to kind of like be more flowy, I guess you could say, and be more sensitive to things. And so am I in general in personality. Like my I am sensitive, you know, and I think it's important to point this out because it's natural. It doesn't have to be changed. You don't have to be shamed for it. But there are ways to direct the sensitivity so that you are still grounded, so that you don't have to be overwhelmed by other people. Being sensitive in whatever way doesn't mean that you cannot be in tune with yourself. And it doesn't mean that you will be overtaken by people forever. Actually, you have the power to, when you can harness it, to be really grounded and centered in yourself in a way that's very deep that I think may be unfamiliar to a lot of people too. So it's really important then to like basically create rituals for yourself, rituals that help you tune back into yourself, that ground you, and also help you recognize how you are feeling and how to separate your energy from other people. So I have learned to do a couple of things, a lot of self-care stuff, and a lot of like everyday routines that have really helped me, that actually have given me more ability to be in tune with my body. So something that I've loved doing at the end of my days to like wind down now is I do a combination of red light therapy, which is it helps you reduce inflammation. And then I will also put on meditation music and maybe a Reiki video. So I follow this woman called Hoa, and her channel is Alchemy Healing. And she does this like beautiful, like she will, you know, it's one of those videos where they just like kind of go like this. And then and she's in front of like a real lake, and then she does she has a great channel, but I can really feel her through the screen. And anyway, so the routine I have feels like it is a great combination of physically reducing my inflammation and then like listening to soothing music, Plus, like, I do make it my ritual to sort of like detox other people's energies. Like, the reason why it's specifically a Reiki video, it's because I think, whether or not you believe Reiki is real, it's kind of great to have a ritual where you're kind of telling yourself, like, I will now remove other people's energies from my day. Like, I can reduce the energy that I soaked up from other people as a sensitive person. Some it's funny because sometimes I'll play Reiki videos and like put it on my earbuds like while I'm working, just to sort of like also, you know, not take on other people's energies while I'm at work. So that might be a thing that might be helpful as well. But yeah, so that has been my routine like after work. And then other things that I do, like I have done a lot of detox lately, which feels so physically good but also energetically good. Like I have done a lot of saunaing, and it just feels like such a great release. And I feel like it might resonate for other sensitive people to have a ritual that feels like an actual release so that you feel like you can detox from other people. So, other things that I love to do, I love to sing. And singing actually stimulates your vagus nerve, which, when you stimulate your vagus nerve, you can help to regulate your nervous system. Other ways to stimulate your vagus nerve, like you can generally just breathe, like you can do breath work, you can hum, you can just, meditate. And this will help because I feel like a lot of us who are sensitive, like we have gotten very like overwhelmed and overstimulated by a lot of things around us. And so our nervous systems could use some rebalancing and some regulating. Um yeah, other things that I do, honestly, get out of the environments that may feel chaotic, like whether that's step out of them or remove yourself in terms of relationships, or like in any way you can, try to step away from the stimulation. And notice that, again, whenever you feel highly stimulated, you don't have to feel ashamed of it. This is part of our nature. And also, if something is overstimulating you, if it doesn't feel great, it is completely okay to say, it doesn't feel great. I think I will step away from it. You are allowed, and you don't need to willpower yourself to pretend like that everything that's feels overwhelming to you doesn't feel overwhelming. There is not a need to like tough it out and to put on, a show for everyone to prove that you are strong and not weak, or that you're not sensitive or whatever. You are allowed to be sensitive. It's not a bad thing. And you are definitely allowed to take care of yourself. So yeah, it'd be great to like look at like what are some things that can feel like rituals to you, that can feel like it brings you back to your body. So another misconception about being sensitive has to do with how we interact socially. And the best way I can put it is, we are people who are easy to be bullied. We are people who are easy to take over. We are people who will become martyrs or just helpers or supporters. All of those things are respectable, first of all. Like, if you help people, like that is super important. Your sensitivity, your empathy, being there for people, being caring and nurturing is super important. However, that's not your only function. You're not just there to be a martyr to other people. And you're also not like deserving of, or just like what is it? Like, some people are like, you're not just like a walking target that someone is allowed to bully, So I think when you show your sensitivity, that's not an invitation to be bullied, and that's also not something that allows other people to say that they are better than you. I think that there is a misconception around also being sensitive and equating it with not being confident. So the way that I've learned to kind of like navigate around this now is, honestly, and this is kind of like the theme here, right? Own it. own it and feel confident in your sensitivity, because you bring a lot to the table. And also, you're not just one sensitive like baby that needs to be coddled and that's only there to be like everyone's martyr. Like, I think that misconception comes from survival patterns, comes from how we had to be growing up. But we're sensitive, but that's not like literally like basically what I'm trying to say in this video is that you're sensitive because your body is just more like is more likely to be stimulated by other things, and you're more likely to be soaking up other people's energies. That's it. It's just your body is more likely to soak up things around it. There does not need to be any other definitions as to your personality, what your role is in the world, like what you're capable of. All it is your body is sensitive. That's it. You get to do whatever you want to do, and then your body is also sensitive. Like, that's all. And so that doesn't mean that you can't stand out, that you can't be like a leader. Like just being sensitive does not and should not take you away from achieving things and from being where you want to be in life and from making friends and having healthy relationships that you want. Being sensitive does not mean that you're always going to be taken advantage of. It doesn't mean that you're always going to be quiet. It doesn't mean that you're always going to be the less dominant one in whatever situation. Your body is just soaks up energy. That's it. If we keep getting advice from other people to change, or if we keep getting people who are like more intellectual or more like, I guess you could say action oriented, telling us to not be as sensitive, I think that it doesn't work, because we all have different levels of what is most important to us. You can take their advice with a grain of salt, because you have to be other things too. You know, like we need a level of intellectualizing, and we need a level of like taking action. So find your balance of those things. But I just want to make it the point, like maybe you do process things best by being sensitive and emotional. And if someone else tells you that's not right, maybe that's not right for them. You can have a healthy balance of being sensitive, and that is correct for you. And it doesn't feel like it's overtaking you. It doesn't feel like it's wasting time. That feels aligned to you. Just like people who are high action and high energy oriented, they feel the best when they're in motion, because that is how they process and they get their information, I guess. And then people who are really rational and logical, that is their sweet spot, you know? Respect. We all should probably just respect that each of us are probably more dominantly masters of different areas of life. And the same advice doesn't apply to everyone. And then the last misconception is that sensitivity just means that we are depressed and crying all the time. Like, when you are sensitive, that just means that you are like really stimulated by things. And it's up to you how you want to interact with that stimulation. You know, it is completely valid when it's sadness, when it's anger, when it's anxiety. Also, when you're happy, when you're in love, when you are joyful, relaxed, peaceful, you also embody that, and you also feel that really strongly. Like, I think when we're talking about being sensitive, that just, again, the only thing about sensitivity that is universal for everyone is just my body just picks up on a lot. That's all it needs to be. And so that also means when you are enjoying your life and you're interacting with life, you can really soak it up. You can be very passionate. You can feel everything. Like when you eat your favorite foods, like you can really savor it and the experience. Like when I don't know, like some of the things that I feel like I've experienced as a sensitive person, like there's also times, like besides the sadness and all the harder emotions, where I've also been the happiest person in the room, because when I'm happy, I'm like, ooh, I feel a lot of happiness. You know, like my emotions were very much like, oh, I'm in this really, like, I like this really simple thing in front of me, like whatever it is, like, and like the joy is amplified. You know what I mean? Like Like, I feel like, what's a good example? I don't know. It's kind of like, you know, you have a couple of different people go to a store, and some of them are like, oh, this isn't interesting. And then there are some people, like sensitive people, who are like, oh my God, bright colors. Oh my God, that's a cute idea. Ooh, I love this. And like, your life gets to be also very immersive. It gets to be very full of life and joyful, and you get to experience it fully. You know, like you probably see the importance of and the joy and like a lot of you get to feel great things where maybe a lot of people didn't see much, you know? Like I'm just saying being sensitive also like allows you to be more like allows you to have more whimsy. You know, like, oh, somebody saw a flower. I saw a photo shoot. Like I saw, you know, like whatever you want. Or like, oh, there's different color shirts. Like, oh my God, I love all the different color shirt options at this store. You know, like there's an excitement for life that you also get to have when you feel a lot. Okay, I lied. There's a fourth misconception. I think there's also a misconception that sensitivity doesn't lead to anything. And I will just say, like, I think now I still have differing thoughts on manifestation, but I do believe that what you feel manifests. And when we have high sensitivity, I think a lot of sensitive people are also known to be really creative. I wonder why that is. When you're sensitive, you have the direct connection to creating and to manifesting. Isn't that crazy? Like, yes, sometimes you are creating more hard emotions and more dark times for yourself. There's also a way to directly funnel that into like writing a song, into like writing stories. Like, I mean, God, we have like so many musical artists are like, well, my whole album was about like this relationship, you know, about this breakup. Like there is so like Taylor Swift's whole career is a manifestation of her sensitivity. Like, you know what I mean? And that also just goes with a lot of artists. We can take our sensitivity and instead of shaming ourselves for it, thinking that it's useless and we're just like wallowing in weird emotions, it's such a straight shot to creating. Like, I don't know why I keep doing this, but even think about your relationships. Like, it doesn't always have to be that you're an underappreciated empath to a narcissist. Like, with the amount of sensitivity and the amount of expression that you have, that can make for a really fun relationship with the right people who want to be receptive to it. Like, that can make for a really fun dynamic and someone who really appreciates you for being like, you know, creating a really immersive world. That can also make you a really great parent, a really attentive, aware parent. It can manifest into great relationships. And then I don't know if people really understand this, but hopefully we are now. That can make you a great leader, a great like business owner. It's funny because this is such a sidebar, but like I was just thinking about this the other day about how like it's harder to watch the news and the reality of the tragic things that happen to people. But then we'll watch a TV show about that same situation and we'll be really immersed in it because, like, however someone wrote the TV show, it was from a perspective that is meant to have a different theme, that is meant to make us feel a certain way, that helps us understand and learn. Like, as a sensitive person, as someone who could potentially be an artist or a healer or a spiritual, you have a perspective that also helps other people understand things in a way that they wouldn't otherwise. In a way like, because I think without the sensitive parts of it, without a sensitive outlook, I know I keep saying sensitive. I hope that's the best umbrella term for everything. But without like a sort of sensitive, in tune outlook as an artist, we're just seeing situations in reality as just tragic, as just like it is what it is. It's so funny when you're watching a TV show, you're saying, I want to sit and empathize. And I'm like, I'm looking for a place to put this function in my body because I didn't have it at work. You know, like I need a place to put the high empathy that I still have, the high sensitivity that I still have. And even though some of us might make it seem like, oh, I'm into the drama, I'm into this, like when you watch TV, you're looking to purposely empathize somewhere. Isn't that funny? Like, you want to put it somewhere. I think that sounds wrong, but you want to put it somewhere. And like, yeah, we funnel that into the arts, but there's ways to do it everywhere else. Okay, well, anyway, I hope this video helped give us perspective and to understand ourselves and to leave the shame out of being sensitive. And honestly, own it. It is so important. And it doesn't at the same time have to define you. And so in my next videos, I would love to just like, I don't know, I kind of want to talk a little bit, like in my next video, I want to talk about how to cultivate a little bit more whimsy in our lives. You know, like how to make the sensitivity a much more immersive and fun experience. Okay, well, until next time, peace and love, bye.